Hey, what's up, mortals? It's FalonEcho here with a new video for you. Welcome to Season 1, Part 4 of What If Deku Became an Android? I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So we begin. The sun shone brightly over UA High on Izuku Midoriya's first day as a student at the most prestigious hero school in the country. Though Izuku's mood was far from as joyful as the weather. What are my classmates gonna think? He wondered. Will they bring it up at all? He shuddered as another thought passed through his mind. Is Kachan gonna be in my class? Izuku arrived at the door of Class 1A. The boy took a deep breath and opened the door, expecting the worst. And the worst is in fact what greeted him.
Shut up, you extra! I'll put my feet where I want to!
Izuku saw Katsuki Bakugo yell towards the boy with engines on his calves.
I implore you to treat your desk and your peers with respect,
the boy replied. Izuku, attempting to avoid the two boys' attention, quietly slipped into the room and tried to make his way to the back without getting noticed. This plan fell apart when he made eye contact with Ichaku Uraraka, the last member of the trio Izuku didn't want to see. They put you here? Ichaku said loudly, incredulous. This directed the whole class's eye toward Midoriya, who shrank awkwardly from the attention.
Deku! They put the extra of the extras in my class?
Bakugo yelled, kicking his desk onto the ground as he dashed towards Izuku. As was his instinct, the brunette backed away fearfully from the explosive teen, hitting the wall and slipping onto the ground. Bakugo stood over him.
Go to the office or whatever and quit, now! Or get transferred or something! Get out of my sight!
The intimidating teen yelled at the cowering boy. Izuku heard murmurs rise among his classmates. Didn't he get first place in villain points? He was nothing like this during the exam. I don't know what I expected after watching the video, but this wasn't it. They're right, Izuku thought. I'm stronger than Kachan now. I don't need to be scared of him. The brunette stood up, both his hands glowing with green aura. That doesn't work on me anymore, Kachan. I'm stronger than you now, Izuku said, able to muster some confidence behind his words. Bakugo looked like he was witnessing his worst nightmare unfold before him.
Don't get a big head, Deku! I still got first place in UA!
Bakugo retorted, though he sounded more desperate than menacing now. Deku, the extra, the weak, quirkless kid, got a higher score than the explosive teen in his best subject, destruction. Bakugo had tried much harder than he originally intended to and still lost. There was no worse humiliation than that. But Deku didn't notice any of that humiliation in Bakugo's response, however. He didn't realize that he had won the verbal war against his longtime bully by simply responding at all. He realized that everyone still had a misconception about him. From the video, he was sure didn't contain the whole story. Listen, the whole thing from the video was a All of a sudden, what seemed like bandages of sorts wrapped around Midoriya and Bakugo, dragging the two boys away from the other students. The bandages were revealed to be coming from a tall figure with long, messy hair and baggy clothes. He stared the two students down with his bloodshot eyes.
As your homeroom teacher, it's my job to tell you that students fighting isn't allowed in my class.
The man started. Bakugo grunted in annoyance while Izuku gulped in fear.
And as future heroes, it's your job to never do that again,
their teacher warned.
Heroes cooperate with each other, and that ability to work with people, even if you might not agree with them on something, is essential to success.
Izuku looked at his feet in embarrassment. He and Kachan would have to put their differences aside to become heroes, although Deku wasn't sure if his longtime classmate realized this.
You both probably think you're hot stuff, first and second in the entrance exams without any rescue points,
the man said, leaning in closer to Midoriya.
But to be honest, I didn't even think you should be allowed in here after your unprovoked attack on another contestant,
the teacher said with venom. His eyes were glowing bright red now, and his hair stood on its ends. Izuku finally recognized the man before him. Eraserhead, he thought. The underground hero whose quirk lets him temporarily erase other people's quirks by looking at them. Then nervously, he tried to defend himself. Sir, about the video, it's not really what it looks like. I swear I'm not—
Don't tell me. Show me,
the teacher interrupted.
Everyone get back in your seats,
he said, his tone much lazier than before. He also seemed tired compared to when he was speaking to Izuku and Katsuki.
My name is Shota Aizawa. I'll be your homeroom teacher for this year. Fair warning, I can erase your quirk by looking at you. Now, what happened between Misters Bakugo and Midoriya shouldn't happen again between any of you.
He started. The student stayed quiet. Despite looking like he hadn't slept for more than 2 hours in the last 2 weeks, the students were rather intimidated by his presence. He had practically dragged Bakugo and Midoriya away with no difficulty using those bandage-like things around his neck. They were also unrelated to his quirk, adding to the fear factor.
Now, I want you all to meet me outside in the courtyard with your PE uniforms on. We're doing a test today.
Some students got up uncomfortably at this. They expected to be able to go to orientation for their first day, but they didn't want to bring this up with Aizawa. However, one student decided to raise his hand as opposed to listening to his teacher's instructions.
What is it?
Aizawa asked.
Sir, I thought that we were supposed to attend orientation.
The boy with engines on his calves said. Aizawa sighed at this.
Mr. Ida, is it? Tenya Ida? Well, what we'll be doing today is a lot more important than orientation.
I see. Thank you for enlightening me, sir.
The boy called Tenya replied. At that, the students quickly emptied out of the room and went to change into their uniforms. The students emptied out into the courtyard in a few minutes, most of them taking part in hushed conversation about what they might be tested on. Izuku was particularly excited.
A test? In the courtyard? It has to be a practical test of sorts, based on what he said about cooperation. It might be something focused on teamwork. This is going to be my chance to prove to him that I'm not the kind of student to use my quirk on others unprovoked.
Deku's mind boarded a train of thought, leaving his body unattended, and he bumped into another student.
Hey, what, you again?
The student he bumped into said as she turned around. Izuku, mind and body back together once more, recognized the girl. She was the one with the extended earlobes that he'd bumped into before the entrance exams.
Oh, sorry,
Izuku replied sheepishly.
I really need to work on watching where I'm going,
he added, chuckling nervously. Talking to girls wasn't his strong suit, no matter the context.
Whatever, just don't zap me with your quirk or something,
the girl said exasperatedly.
The video doesn't show everything. I saw a piece of debris heading towards her and I wanted to destroy it. I underestimated how strong my attack was,
Izuku said quickly. Yeah, you've been saying that to anyone who'll listen. And I can tell you this much. Most people don't believe you, the girl replied dryly.
Do you believe me?
Izuku asked in response. The girl shrugged. You seem too nervous and twitchy to attack a helpless girl for no reason. But maybe something happens to you when your quirk is on. So for now, I don't know if I believe you, she answered. Izuku scratched the back of his head, giving the girl a smile.
You're the first person to give me the benefit of the doubt. So, thanks,
he said. The girl chuckled. He might have been imagining it, though Izuku could have sworn there was some genuine joy behind the sarcasm in her laughter. She then walked away. Izuku started back on his course toward the courtyard as well, until he remembered to ask something.
Hey,
he called out. The girl turned around. Before Izuku could ask his question, she answered it. My name's Kyoko Jiro. Nice to meet you, Deku.
My name isn't Deku,
Izuku replied sheepishly. Kyoko raised her eyebrows at this.
My real name is Izuku. Deku is just what Kachan says to insult me,
the boy explained. Kyoko looked confused at this. Oh, that's weird. I thought it was a play on Dekiro, which means to accomplish something, so it's like a positive. Izuku looked at her for a few seconds, speechless. He had never thought of it like that. Kyoko gave a slight, genuine smile at this. You're welcome, Deku, she said sarcastically, starting on a jog toward where the rest of the class had gathered in the courtyard. Deku, shaken out of his thoughts, headed toward the group as well. There was one more thing he needed to ask Jiro. But once he arrived by her side to ask her, Aizawa opened his mouth and announced exactly what the test was. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. With the services Skillshare provides, you can get access to many in-depth tutorial videos on basically anything you want to learn. Each class that they have is bound to help you with your creative endeavors. Do you want to learn how to make videos like this one? Do you want to learn how to write scripts or edit audio? Skillshare has you covered. And with our link, you can have a 14-day free trial. So what are you waiting for? Click the link now and get 14 days worth of classes free. Link in the description below.
What we're doing today is the Quirk assessment test. You'll have to participate in a few physical trials to give me an idea on your quirks.
The teacher started.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, last place gets expelled.
He added nonchalantly. The class collectively gulped at this, save for Bakugo, who sneered. The first test was a 50-meter sprint. Izuku was able to get a high score due to his increased physical capabilities and his experience in high-speed traversal. In fact, the only students that surpassed him were Bakugo propelling himself with explosion, Tenya Ida with his engine quirk, and another boy, a cold expression on his face with split-colored hair and different-colored eyes. This boy, revealed to be named Shoto Todoroki, used his ice with amazing proficiency, which Izuku was sure to note down in a trusty notebook. The next test was grip strength, which Deku aced due to his amazing physical enhancements. In fact, he even broke the grip strength tester, which shocked the class. Following grip strength, there was a standing long jump test, which Izuku was once again able to blow out of the park without using his energy-based abilities. This pattern continued for every test. They were all purely physical and so didn't call for any of Izuku's justice attacks, or any energy usage at all on his part. At the end, Izuku got a middling score. Although he was clearly one of the most physically proficient in the class, certain students were aided in their tests by their quirks, such as Ochaku and Kachan during the ball-throwing test, who used their quirks to receive scores not achievable through pure brute strength. But he passed. However, Izuku also noticed something strange throughout the test. He felt as if Aizawa's eyes were on him and only him for every second of the tests. It was as if he wasn't even looking at the other students and simply staring at Deku. But the Greenet tried to put these thoughts away. Aizawa cleared his throat once the students finished examining the leaderboard.
First of all, I wasn't ever going to expel anyone. It was a rational ruse to draw out the best in you.
He started, dropping the jaws of most of his students.
And secondly, there's a few things I'm going to go over with some of you. Now, if I don't call your name, go get changed.
Aizawa looked at a paper before him and called out 5 names.
Yugo Yama, Mina Ashido, Denki Kaminari, Katsuki Bakugo, and Izuku Midoriya.
The other students emptied out of the courtyard. Izuku gave Kyoka a quick wave as she left, reciprocated by an eye roll from the purple-haired girl.
Now, this is an unscheduled test, but I like to try new things. You 5 have long-range quirks, and I would like to test out the range of these quirks. Now, I'll have you know that these tests aren't graded in any way. They're simply to quench my curiosity.
Aizawa explained. The students then lined up and started firing off their quirks. Denki, a yellow-haired, grinning teen with an electric quirk, very neatly shocked Aizawa and his classmates, had the teacher not disabled his quirk in time. Yuga, the boy that Deku had seen during the entrance exam with the belly button laser, got a very long-range score. Bakugo, on the other hand, wasn't able to make his explosions travel very far. And no matter how much Aizawa repeated that this test was irrelevant to the students' abilities and was only to test out the nature of their quirks, Bakugo still felt like he had something to prove. Mina Ashido was a girl whose quirk gave her not only the ability to secrete acid, but pink skin and 2 small antennae as well. Finally, Deku's turn came. He raised his hand and began charging a Justice Flash. All right, time to do this. I think I can make it at least as far as Yuga, he thought. Just as he prepared to launch his beam, he felt something that chilled him to the bone. Slowly, he shifted his eyes to the right. Aizawa was staring at him, eyes glowing red, hair standing straight, and with a glare so menacing and angry that even Katsuki backed away from him. Izuku tried his best to ignore this. He's trying to throw me off, the boy thought, and launched his beam. Sure enough, he got the best range score in the group. Aizawa stared the group of students down for nearly 3 minutes before finally dismissing them. The teacher watched them walk away, his eyes staying on the same spot even as the students had entered the school. Another figure stepped out from behind the walls. It was All Might in his thin form.
You couldn't wipe it?
the number one hero asked. Aizawa shook his head.
I don't get it. I couldn't wipe his physical prowess throughout the main exam, and I couldn't wipe his energy beam. What in the world is he?
The disgruntled teacher asked his colleague.
Maybe it's a mutation quirk,
All Might suggested, sounding quite unsure of his own words.
Even on the off chance that it is, I still should be able to have some sort of effect on some facet of his quirk. His speed, strength, and energy beams wouldn't all remain unaffected.
Aizawa replied.
I don't know about the energy, but what if he's just that physically strong?
All Might asked. Aizawa shook his head.
He broke the grip strength machine. It can withstand a ton, 1,000 kilograms of force. And he broke it. There's just no way he's just that strong. I don't know,
All Might started.
We'll need to keep our eyes on that kid.
Aizawa nodded solemnly.
Let's just hope there's not as much to it as I think there is.
After exiting out of the change rooms, Izuku managed to find Jiro again. What's up? She asked him as he approached.
I know this is gonna sound really weird, but
Izuku started. Jiro rolled her eyes. What, are you gonna ask me out or something? She asked jokingly. Izuku frantically waved his hands, blushing.
No, nothing like that. I was just wondering if you could listen to me,
Izuku said in response. Jiro raised an eyebrow at this. And what exactly do you mean by that? She asked, visibly confused.
Well, your extended earlobes and the jacks on the ends let you hear better, right? So if you plugged them into me, you could theoretically hear my internal organs, right?
Izuku started rambling. Jiro looked at him surprised. I guess I've never thought of that. But you're pretty good at deduction. Or maybe you're stalking me. I don't know what to expect from high school boys. Hyoka said sarcastically. Izuku looked at her with pleading eyes.
I'm not stalking you. Could you please try?
He asked. Jiro sighed exasperatedly. All right, I don't see why it would hurt. Though if you pull anything funny, you're gonna get hurt, she said as her earlobes plugged themselves into Midoriya. The boy winced as the sharp pain from getting earphone jacks plugged into him hit. Hyoka listened for a few seconds. Well, I guess this wasn't a complete waste of time. Besides your heart, it sounds like there's a tiny engine inside of you. I know for a fact that thing didn't sound natural. You should probably get it checked, Hyoka said, walking away from the greenette. Izuku looked down at his hands. An engine?
What in the world am I?
Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all of this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has got you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, then I'd like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being that we only accept members from 16 years of age and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.